Greetings, Patrick here. Once again, a questions with. It is the nightcap show. That's right. We just got back from the UK, hanging out with our good friend Rick Malin. And Yeah, thanks to everybody who stuck around for that. Like I said, me and Ricky, man, we've talked a lot of we've been talking a lot of about a lot of different things as our friendship has developed. And I caught a little bit of that in the first interview. And as a rule, I don't generally don't do that, but it just seemed right. It just seemed right, and you never know what's going to happen on the show. We don't have a script. We don't really have specific topics we're going to talk about. We just let the conversation go. And it felt more like just having a beer with a mate, with a than it did anything else today. And I really aim for that. I really like the fact that whenever guests we talk to, they feel relaxed enough just to have, just to let the hair down, so to speak, and just let it go. And so we're going to do that tonight with our guest, uh, our guest who will be here really soon. Let me hold on here. I'm having trouble getting my screen lined up here. Okay. Our guest tonight will be Leslie Ivarson. Will be here, and looking forward to meeting her and talking to her. She's been in a movie called American Trash with the mighty Robert Lasardo, and some other films that we'll be talking about. Plus, she's actually trained under her training is actually pretty damn interesting. I think she's trained under some very impressive actors, and we're going to talk to her about that as well. Kyle is here. Hey, Kyle, how are you? Uh, Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Hey, Anthony, how are you? Brother Max and Ant reviews things. What's going on, Ant? Um, yeah, I heard the scrap earlier from James, um, and yeah, I'm really bummed out by that. But we'll see if we can get it fixed a little bit, maybe. All right, all right. This is like I said, this is the last show of the week as far as the interview series goes. But we'll be back here tomorrow. We'll be back here tomorrow for a watch party. We're doing a watch party tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and our special guest will be Michael Cassidy. He one more time is stepping up into the co-host chair, and I'll also be joined by my good friend, my brother from another mother, aka the Bat, Al Lucard. Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate that, Greg. Um, all right. We got to catch up. Definitely got to catch up. See what you. I see all the good stuff you. Let's see. Well, you know what? I don't believe in people getting crushed for. I don't believe people getting crushed for for a moment of passion. Maybe it was ill advised, but I don't believe in crushing somebody just to do that. Yeah. Well, you know what though? Music is everybody's scene. That's the beautiful thing about music and bands and clubs. It's one scene as everybody's scene. Um, so you can you know. So I just hate to see a moment of ill advised thought turn into a disaster for a hardworking band. I just think that would really suck. Um, and especially when in their heart they're not really like that. So gosh, I mean, if we all reacted to some perceived slight like that, we wouldn't be talking at all to anybody, as far as the earth goes. Oh, you stepped on my toe. Well, I can't talk to you anymore. Hey, Ernest, how are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Uh, yeah, looking forward to tonight a lot. Um, and we're gonna talk about, like I said, Leslie's career. Um, what a great way to really launch it too. She's already done some things. Um, I thought one of her credits was really charming. She got to go on a soap opera, and I'm always fascinated. That always fascinates me when people do soaps because I always like. I think they're really good training ground for people coming into the business and you know learning how to act on a set. Or it's their first time on a set and they get that experience to apply it forward. I love soaps for that. You get used to a really fast pace, whereas movies are a little bit slower than soaps. Soaps are very quick. Um, and it's really interesting too is that uh, soaps are always thought they're on the way out. Like soaps, soap operas are they're being pushed aside because there's no more audience for it. And CBS decided to sit there and say, I have a feeling we could probably. I don't think this is exactly true. And so they created a brand new soap opera called Beyond the Gates. And from what I've read, it's doing outstanding. It's holding its own. It's on CBS Paramount Plus. Has an all-star cast. Um, and it is holding its own. It's doing very well. And it's just something. It's just something that you don't expect to see thrive in today's environment. Everybody's environment is always on the go. So it's really cool to see that Beyond the Gates has done very well, and also helps find a new next generation of TV stars, the movie stars. We all know about how many of our beloved stars that we like, how many of them have started out in a soap opera and then have gone forward and become household names. So it'll be really fun to see what stars they produce. Let's see. Hey, how about the Yankees and Mets this year? Let's see. Soto saying Judge is the best hitter in baseball, making headlines here in New York City. Well, I don't know if he's the best hitter, pure hitter. I think Juan is right there with him. I love Aaron Judge, but I really wish he wouldn't strike out so often. That's my only complaint about his game. I don't mind that he makes outs, the players make outs, but I'm much rather see him make outs by putting it in play than striking out. When you put the baseball in play, you don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen, but you know damn well it's going to happen when you can't hit the ball, right? So Yankees played really well. They bounced back from a rough stretch. They swept the Royals, and we're going back at it today. Or went down to Tampa Bay and playing in our old. The Yankees are actually playing in their spring training camp field. It's an away game, not a home game. Yeah, yeah, and I gotta, you know what? I was a little nervous, with because Soto protected him tremendously last year, and you're just trying to figure out, who can protect him this year. And Goldsmith and Bellinger have done a good job. Um, Ben Rice has been making more contact this year than last year. I mean, he came out with that big splash last year, and this year he worked on it. His hole developed early. People found out that Ben Rice could not hit a breaking pitch last year, so that's all he saw after his big hurrah. And and I didn't think he was going to make the big league. I didn't think he was going to make the club, but thanks to Vernon Wells, Austin Wells, he has done that. He has been able to stay on the roster because they traded away Trevino, and yeah. So I was mentioning tomorrow night we'll be having Michael Cassie will be here tomorrow night along with Al Lucard, aka the Bat. and we will be watching Hangman. That will be on Tubi, so you guys can follow along. This will be a commentary watch. All my movie watches will be commentary watches. Um, and as we go through, we'll have the person connected to the film talk about it. And Michael Cassie, he's the one that wrote the screenplay for Hangman, which stars a tremendous cast. Holy cow, that's the thing that will blow you away. Was this is the man's first screenplay that was made into a film and stars Al Pacino, Carl Urban, Sarah Shahi, and Brittany Snow. Yeah, we're gonna make a movie with those four people. As a screenwriter, I'd probably just drop right there. I'd be like, yeah, thank you so much. I'd just be like, you know, is it always gonna be that easy? Go out there and get an A-list cast for your first film. Um, the film and the screenplay opened up the doors for Michael to direct his own film, and he has directed Hunter's Moon, and upcoming will be No Tears in Hell, and No Tears in Hell is going to be, man, if you like a good horror movie, you're gonna like No Tears in Hell. I've seen it. It's a badass movie. It is, and it's based on a true story. It's based on a true story, and yeah, he's got himself a really great cast of actors in that movie as well. Maybe not quite household names like Carl Urban or Al Pacino, but their faces just you'll know or you soon will know, including his main leading man. That guy, yeah, he's a mind blower. All right, be safe out there. Be safe out there. Should be fun. Props to the Padres in the division. Yeah, anybody but the Dodgers, right? Anybody but the Dodgers. I just thinking of all those times that people were talking about how the Yankees bought their team, right? Everybody says, "Oh, Steinbrenner bought his team." All I gotta say to those people is, shut the hell up. If you want to see a team being bought, that's the Dodgers. Man, I can't believe how much money they spent on that. Man, it's just crazy. Okay. So that's tomorrow. Sunday night, we will be here on the 20th at 8 o'clock. We are doing a encore show for the horror film Hunter x Hunter on the IFC Midnight. I was not able to partake of that show. Neither was Mary. Mary wasn't either. Mary Wilson wasn't either, and I don't believe our good friend Haas was here. So we decided we were going to come back and talk about Hunter x Hunter, since we didn't get a chance to. Um, and then on the 27th of April, we'll be back for our regular IFC midnight show. And Mary Wilson is taking us to the Dakotas for Devil's Gate, which is a very, very good horror science fiction movie. That's a banger. She Mary picks a lot of great movies for us. She really does. And I was really pleased to see that Haas's pick is starting to gather some steam. I noticed that some people have been finding his review or his movie that we talked about, and that was the Den. The Den is a banger too. Wow. Um, that's a really, really good film, and not for the lighthearted. All right, our guest is here, so let's go get her. Let's go talk to Leslie. Ta-da! There she is. All
Hello.
right. Hello.
How are
All
you?
right. Good, good. How are you?
Good, good.
Love the beanie.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's. Are you still based in Wisconsin, or did you grow up
Yeah,
there?
unfortunately, yes. I'm back in Milwaukee. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Milwaukee's a fun that's a fun city, isn't
It's
it?
all right. It's all right. It's cold, you know.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Yeah, I'm looking yeah, it's still cold over here in Michigan too.
yeah, it's
Um,
bummer weather. That's the only, that's the main thing. I mean, there's no bummer weather in LA, not very often, so. But
it's been staying colder longer this year.
are you
Most
in
of the time,
Detroit?
I am, outside of Ann Arbor.
Oh, cool. Cool.
University of Michigan. And
Yeah.
yep, yep. And generally by now it starts to get warm. Oh, it's already supposed to be a lot warmer than what it is. The plants are trying to come up.
Yeah,
They're
same
going like,
here.
well, fine.
Mhm.
And we're supposed to be up here now, but every time we're sticking our leaves out there, but we're freezing our asses off at night.
Yeah, same
Um,
here. Yeah. But then
yeah,
every once in a while you'll get one of those 65-degree days. It's like, don't get used
right.
to that. Just wait.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like last summer. It is strange because I'm not sure how much snow you got. We don't get
Not too
very much.
much.
No, us
No.
either.
Not like the
Um,
70s. When I was a kid in the 70s, we had so much snow.
yeah, we don't get
Yeah.
it. We
Yeah.
don't- we don't- I personally think that I'm blaming Dayton, Ohio for it.
Are you?
Yeah, I
Or
know that.
Cleveland or Cleveland.
Cleveland, yeah, blame Cleveland, but Dayton's got we got to blame them too.
We do.
Um, I think they've taken our fair share of snow with down in Ohio.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've got family in Troy, so I've driven through Ann Arbor many times.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've driven to Ann Arbor more times than I care to. I mean, you would think for someone who doesn't work down there,
Mhm.
or what, you would think I would have not been through Ann Arbor as many times as I have. It
Right.
seemed like it seemed like I was driving down there. Practically was for like the last in the year 2012. It seemed like I was all. Where are you going? Ann
Mhm.
Arbor, Ann Arbor, 82, 82. Um, but Milwaukee, we have friends who live in Milwaukee. We have
Mhm.
our friend Lady Val. Her family own a tow truck company
Okay.
out in Milwaukee. Yeah, see.
Oh,
Um,
Milwaukee. Yeah, Milwaukee's cool. It's home. It's very familiar and there's a lot of families, so that's good.
well, I was impressed when I was looking. I was researching you.
Mhm.
For our discussion, I was really impressed because you've done two things. I'm looking forward to talking to you about.
Mhm.
One, got to who you're training underneath, um, and Jason Alexander.
Yeah, I had a really great class with him in LA. Yeah.
That must have been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. It was a weekend in Burbank, and it was very intense. We had to come with a monologue and start from there, and it was very cool. Yeah, and I came up to assist with somebody else's monologue before I did my own monologue, so we got to know him a little bit that day. It was very, very sweet. It was, I was probably a good 4 or 5 inches taller than him, so and that was, but he's a very big lover of the theater, and I think back in when I took that class in 2009 or 2010, he swore he would never do any television or film again. He said that theater was the only true. It was the only place where an actor could really be, himself or herself, without the editing, without the director, without once you're on the stage, and it's go, and that's it. You don't have
Yeah,
anybody
uh,
feeding you lines or telling you cut or telling you, no, they're going to set up this scene now and come back out. You're fully on the whole time. So that was what I learned from him the most.
I
Was
think a lot of actors are like that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I read Brian Cox's autobiography, and the one thing I got from him was it was like he does all the parts that he does. He works in TV and theater. He works his ass off on those parts.
Hmm.
It's almost like he works there. I'm gonna do 5 or 6 paying jobs, commercial jobs, just
Hmm.
so I could take off. And now he probably doesn't have to do this, but it's still his mindset. I'm gonna work my ass off to 5 or 6 commercial projects, making just enough money so I can go around and I can take the next 6 months off and do theater.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
because
and a
he
lot
just
of yeah, and a lot of those real awesome theater jobs in New York on Broadway are equity jobs, and those are very well-paying jobs in theater. I mean, there's Bill Burr's on doing Glengarry Glen Ross right now, along with um uh what's his name, the the kid from Home Alone, that just won an
oh, oh,
Oscar. Um,
Macaulay Culkin.
yeah,
Oh,
not
yeah,
his brother,
yeah,
Kieran McCullen or whatever his name is. Yeah, Culkin. Yeah. So they're doing Glengarry Glen Ross right now, and that's a fabulous play. It's a really intense play. So I think a lot of actors, dare I say Kevin Spacey. I remember when, before he got into all his trouble, he same thing. I mean, he spent most of his time in the theater, taking a break here and there to do a movie or a commercial. I mean, you only have to do one commercial to be set. I mean, some of these national commercials, especially these big pharma ads, I always ask myself, why are people like Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon and these people doing voiceovers like Alec Baldwin for, credit card, and then I realized it's because they make like, and it's at least a six-figure job, those commercials, especially
six,
if they especially if they re-air. Yeah,
right.
it's like they're making 250 grand on these 30-second commercials. So
Oh yeah, that's it's funny because we had a former guest come on and or he was on and I was wondering like he had done a big movie and then that I hadn't heard the last thing I heard he had gotten married and
mhm.
I was waiting to hear some news about what he was doing and we're like okay I haven't heard it haven't heard anything at all at the like what has he done like I know he just didn't get married and vanish
Mhm.
and next thing you know, I see someone posted up in my group posted up that he had done a full length commercial for Amazon, like it
Oh
was
wow.
like a minute long,
Yeah.
long form. It had a long form commercial, then short film, 30 seconds.
Right.
And I looked at that and I go like, well, that's where he's been. That's why he doesn't really have to go out there and bust his, he doesn't have to. He
Mm-mm.
got paid a national commercial. I think people are blown away with that, with how much money you can make at work in a commercial.
Yeah, independent
Um,
film is probably the worst paying you can get into. When and commercials probably one of the best, unless you're in a big budget movie and you're a huge movie star, then that's different. But for a regular working actor, yeah, a national commercial, a national union commercial that's going to be on in every state for like a year. Like if you see a commercial for like Ozempic, let's say, or something like that along those lines, some big pharma commercial, and it airs everywhere, and you see it all day long on TV, and it's on forever. Those people are making mint.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's that's the reason why we do see the celebrities. It used to be,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I think it's always been that way for them when people ask them to do commercials. I think they'll say, do TV show? No,
I
wouldn't
see
get
it a
caught
lot more
yet.
now than when I was a kid, or a teen, or in my 20s. When I saw those huge commercials, you wouldn't really know who those people were, and then that might have been their stepping stone to get into a bigger job. I think, I know Vince Vaughn was in a lot of car commercials, like Jack Black. He just showed his commercial from when he was 13 years old for an Atari video game, Pitfall. So I think that used to be a very common place for people to start out, and now it seems like a lot of these big stars are going back and doing these huge national commercials because they're so well paid, and how can you say no to that? That's like a
Yeah,
that's
it's
a
just like TV. Back in the 50s and 40s and 50s and probably to the mid to late 60s. The big TV stars, the big movie stars wouldn't get caught doing
Oh,
TV.
no, 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 no.
Oh,
And now TV is like the big thing. I think, in my opinion, like episodic television, like hour-long dramas like Handmaid's Tale and stuff like that. That's the place I want to be anyway. I'd rather be in a series like that than be in a movie. No, 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 I don't have any problem with movies. I'm just saying that's like the goal.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Um,
some
now,
intense show like that.
but do you now how now I know a lot of local local markets. Let's say Milwaukee, they have their own small businesses that make commercials and what have you.
Yeah.
Um, now how do actors get approached for regional commercials? Like when
Uh,
the national one they go to the actor. the regional ones, do the actors go
Oh,
to the company?
the agent will even approach the actor for big national ones too. I mean, that's how you hear about. I mean, I'm sure for the celebrity, they're just offered it. They don't have to audition for it, but it's still going to come from their agent. This is a very strong non-union state. You know, it's a right to work state, but I'm one of the very, very few here that is SAG and very proud to be SAG-AFTRA, and I'm not going to touch any non-union ever again. And that just happened recently. Oh, I think back in December, I rejoined full time. I was Phi Corps for a while, which means financial corps, which is a way of saying that you can work union and non-union at the same time. Because I joined in '06 or '05, and in LA it was great. It got me in so many doors. And then moving back here, it was like being SAG was kind of a like, why would you be SAG here? There's, you know, you're going to be turning down a lot of work, or you're going to be working off the card, as they call it, where a union actor will just go ahead and do all this non-union stuff and just hope they don't get caught. But I don't I'm so pro union now. I've had so many bad experiences on so many non-union films. Not the one we're going to talk about, but other ones that it just made me write to them and plead with them again, please just let me back in full time, because I'd rather drive to Chicago and be an extra in a SAG commercial than do non-union regional stuff here. And it's
It's
just,
hard. Yeah, we've talked to so many we talked to so many independent actors, work indie films, and man, it sounds. I mean, I admire tremendously the love of the craft. There's so many good actors we've talked to that do independent films, and the thing that they all have in common is just the love of the work. You
oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
they
But
love being there.
it's crappy when you do it for the love of the work, or you do it because you want a copy of your work to add to your reel, or you want a credit on IMDb, and you love the script and you think it's going to be a great film, and then you do it, and then you're waiting, waiting, waiting. No, no, you don't have your clips. The movie's not out. They never got the rest of their funding. It's in post production for 3 years. That's the
Post
kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that gets really crappy, because you do it a lot of times for free, waiting for this stuff, and it never happens. Um, and then by the time it actually comes around, you're just so bitter about it. You're like, finally, I have my stuff, and then it's, or I did anyway, and it's, you just have to do a lot of research about who you're working with, and there's a lot of people out there that just buy a camera and decide to make a movie, and they don't really know much about it, and
Well,
then they hire actors. And what's that?
luckily for you, luckily for you, you actually have landed in a good spot. There is do you know who Austin Galante is?
Yeah, yeah. He's my friend on Facebook. I haven't met him yet.
Austin is he's an independent filmmaker. He's
Yeah, he makes good stuff. Yeah.
right. Yeah, he's just getting ready. We're getting ready to talk about his brand new film that just came out,
Empty Church.
and
Is it?
A Driftless Road.
Okay.
Um, and you're not that far away from Iowa.
No,
And
no.
Iowa has a tremendous indie scene, tremendous. I was blown away by how much talent they have. I was like, it seemed like everybody I was talking to for like a month and a half was coming from
Uh-huh.
Iowa.
Really?
And
Wow, that's
yeah,
interesting. Huh.
yeah. In fact, I'm surprised he hasn't popped in yet, but he probably will a little bit later. His name is
Oh,
Michael
cool.
J. Bernard. He's a film director. He always pops in quite a bit.
What's
And
his name? I'm sorry.
Michael James Bernard.
Okay.
And the thing is, though, I was reading this in the trades. They was talking about how, you know, how people are bailing out of Hollywood. They're finding out that you don't need to be in Hollywood to make a project to make it
No,
happen.
you don't need to be, but it sure is nice to be.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Let's
sort of
just say
yeah.
this, like being out there. I mean, I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying I went to one of the best drama schools ever. Super serious place. It was really hard to get in. It was really hard to get in for the second year. You had to, I mean, audition all the time, audition, audition. We had so many celebrities, and just not, I mean, they didn't even seem like celebrities. They were just so into the craft of acting that came to visit us while we were on campus, and met so many amazing people like Martin Landau, and like um I'm fumbling right now because there were so many of them that came to talk to us as Paul Rudd came and talked to us once. Just people that had graduated from the school and people that were really excited that there's this new group of young actors, and there were so many people that would be considered a celebrity that you worked with or met at the school that were so humble and so cool. And then they weren't pompous. They weren't arrogant. They were just so happy to help you, and that you were interested in what they were so passionate about. Um, so I had a really good jumping board with that school, and then already being in the union, the auditions I got out there were just I was just blown away because I just made myself. I had two little kids and a husband. And I moved out there with a four-year old and a 1 year old. By the time I graduated, they were like 3 and 7, or 3 and 6. Um, and my husband at the time was home and working from there, which was great. So I had a great opportunity and a lot of time on my hands to meet people and hustle and go to parties and rub shoulders with people and go to premieres and I mean, just meet people. Just
I don't think I
that's
think
it.
people. I don't
Just
think I
meeting
think
people.
people I think a lot of people are sitting there saying how they're hearing you saying how you have to go to all these different parties and rub shoulders and
No, you
schmooze and
don't,
all
but it helps.
that.
Yeah.
Actually, I would say that it does help.
Yeah.
Sheesh, I used to I used to go like be out 5 nights a week, and
Hmm.
meeting people and talking to people and supporting the other club, supporting the other bands. The bands would sometimes come back. Hey man, it was cool seeing you again. Hey, there's this band that's coming into town, and like you might want to check them out. They're getting a label deal soon, and
Oh, I have a huge smile on my face because that's how I started out. I started out following bands around that I was friends with, especially punk bands from the LA area.
oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I toured with Descendants and Bad Religion and Social Distortion and Circle Jerks and a lot of those guys. That's my true love. I mean, that's where I wanted to start. I wanted to be a record producer or an A&R rep or something like that. Um, and I just got into this later in life. I think I got into it in my late 20s, even though I was, acting and doing my little fake plays and stuff when I was a little kid. But I didn't really. I mean, I was going to get into radio and music. That was my big love. It still is. Um,
God, that's an industry I mean, it changed so fast. I mean,
yeah.
super. I mean, I
When people stop paying for their music, basically for any
right.
music, everything's free. I mean, you can just download anything for free these days. People, I mean, musicians have to tour and sell merch to make money these days. It used
Oh
to not
yeah,
be like that.
small clubs. I mean, they're just fighting to hang on. Like having any sort of scene. It's pretty much all self financed these days. They're putting out their own records, putting out. There's no. But the only good thing I'll say about that is it's like, back in the day where every band it would go out to L.A. on the Strip or what have you, and they would be sitting there saying, we're this far away from getting a major label deal. That was the whole thing with the major label deal. And that's one
But
thing I have
not
to
with
say
Yeah, but
that
not with punk bands though so
no,
much, because punk bands were like standing up to major labels, and Bad Religion had a 5 year stint with Atlantic Records.
yeah,
And it was the worst 5 years of Bad Religion's, like, I mean, they hated it. It's super punk rock to start your own label and do your own thing. So that the bands I was hanging out with, it was never their dream to get on a big label. But I mean, like
well,
my friends that
that's what it's like Fat Records or Sympathy for the Record Industry or CZ Records or
Epitaph,
Stuff
Epitaph, and
Epitaph,
SST.
FSD. Yep.
Yep,
God, I
yep.
had so
So
many bands,
those
off
those
the plate.
yeah, those labels. And yeah, they, like my friend Carl from the Descendants said, he's like, basically in the late 90s, they were record companies were just giving deals to anybody that could pick up a guitar. They were
Yeah, that
handing
was
them out like
really
crazy.
interesting. That was really interesting because that's really interesting because now I'm sure you realize that. I mean, would you say that acting, acting is it, like do you sense that people will always be loyal to you and, let's say you wrote a play or something with somebody or a script with somebody,
Mhm.
and you two and you wrote it with you to star in it, like you and your friend. Okay, we're gonna write this play together. We're gonna write this script together. It's gonna have both of us in two leading roles, and you take it in there to submit it, and they sit there and say, Leslie, we want you, but we don't see any room for your friend.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
and you sit there and say, what do you do with that? Like, what do you do? Do you sit there and say, well, it was a team, it was a team effort, we either do it together or we don't do it at all, or you sit
No,
there and say, yeah,
that's
I'll do
hard.
it.
That's
Yeah,
hard.
that's
Yeah.
LA's music scene in the 90s.
Ah,
Especially for the metal bands and the rock bands.
right.
The labels will turn around and say, um, yeah, we like some of the band, but we don't like all of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've had
Oh
friends in
my.
that position in music business. We don't
No,
we
I
don't
don't
really
miss
fit
that.
in.
I don't mi-
Mhm.
I don't miss those days.
Mhm.
I don't no, I don't miss, mm-mm.
No.
I just don't feel like, I don't miss the days of everybody looking to radio and major labels as the only way.
No.
It is sort of cool knowing that if you're a band, you can make a living. It might be a little bit harder, but at least
Mhm.
it's 100% yours, you know?
Yeah, it's like being an actor without an agent. You can do it. And it's not easy, but you can hustle, and if it's meant to be, it's probably meant to be. But I mean,
Or an actor with a $40,000 upfront.
mhm.
We're gonna at least you don't have to worry about, paying that back. You gotta sell
Right.
enough records um, that's cool though. That's cool that you're some of the bands we have in common. Yeah, I was a talent buyer for 10 years.
Nah, I'm a big punk rock girl. I was been into the scene since the 86 or
Yeah.
87.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Since I
Okay,
was a
elbows.
teen.
Okay, when you're moshing, show us the position of your elbows.
Dude, I'm not a mosher.
You're not a
I
mosher?
would stay the hell away from that. Are you kidding me? A girl in the mosh pit? Like, uh-uh.
Oh,
No,
we
I wasn't that tough. I very rarely had to be out in the crowd because I was very fortunate to be on the guest list and in hours before everybody else, there for sound check, sitting on the side of the stage or just behind the drummer getting water, getting towels. I was always just normally if I knew the band, I was safe. I didn't want anything to do with the pit. And that I had some friends got really hurt in the pit. One of my friends got his head just was stomped on. He fell. They didn't catch him like they should have, and he
yeah.
just fell on the ground. And someone stomped on his skull. And this is like skinhead days, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So I was coming into the scene when the skinheads were really terrorizing the local scene here in Milwaukee, and you had to just be careful, especially a girl, you know.
Uh, Speaking of Milwaukee, the lady who I told you before who was in Milwaukee, she just walked through the door. This is Lady Valerie right here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and her family own a tow truck company.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, if you get stuck in the snow, just call Lady Valerie. She'll come rescue you. Seriously,
We have
seriously,
AAA, so I just
yeah.
needed a tow. We just got a tow from Madison to Milwaukee last week from AAA. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I'm not sure if they do AAA tows or not. I never thought about that, but
yeah.
I have a feeling they probably do.
This was a free tow. So
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, I have AAA too. Sometimes it gets so cold without it snowing, it'll freeze out my battery, and
oh,
I'm
that's
going
not
like,
good.
no, it's because I don't drive it enough, is what it is. It's my
Right.
fault, but I still get frustrated because it's like, okay, this is my first time I get out in the wintertime. I'm gonna go ahead and go someplace, and the battery's dead. It's like, but I
Oh
didn't go
man,
anywhere. Yeah. So,
that's not cool. That's not cool.
I think they wrote a notation by my name, like, every time I call, because they'll sit there and say, are you at 45249 Lamont? And I'm going, "Yes." And they're going, "Yeah, okay." "And your car's outside, isn't
We
it?"
know who
"Yeah."
you are.
We'll be there in about 20 minutes or so.
That sucks, man.
Uh, yeah, the punk rock scene,
The best,
man,
man. The best.
there's nothing more sweeter
The
than,
best.
when we watched a metal band, named Machine Head.
Mhm.
and Machine Head was a badass band, metal rock band, and but they drew that unsavory crowd. They drew that band. They didn't want to, but that they it's like, it's like, we like your band, and it's like, rather you didn't, but they did,
Yeah.
and then the one time we had them in, and they started Static with some people in the crowd, and as a whole, as a one, the whole entire band stopped playing, jumped down from the stage, and went to work on the
Wow.
Skinhead. That was funny. It's like, wow, you just got done paying $20 to have your ass handed to by the band you wanted to see.
What city was this in? What city is this in?
Uh, that was in Palo Alto,
Okay.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
here's your ass on the way out. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
did you play instrument? Did you sing yourself? Is that
No,
is
man,
this
I
the
just
first?
I just, a friend of the band, as they say, right? Like the Pamela DeBar of punk rock, I guess.
Right,
Um,
right.
sure, sure. I mean, just and I would even get per diems here and there because I was kind of a roadie. I mean, a lot of times I would be so helpful that they just would give me a per diem because I'm setting up drums, I'm taking them down, I'm getting some water, some towels, I'm driving people around to get food. I mean,
Right.
you don't take the van or the tour bus out every time you want to go get a drink or a sandwich when there's like, all your stuff in there all the time. They want to keep that
And,
put.
and,
So
and, and yeah, and they wanted you to guard the green room.
sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes.
Dude,
Last time I was backstage was for was I think it was last summer, or it might have been the summer before. It seems like last summer it was the Circle Jerks, Descendants, and the Adolescents all together. And
man.
that was like going back to that was like a reunion from 1989. It's just everybody, Keith Morris and Greg Hetson and Xander Schloss and all the Descendants guys that I've known since I was 17, and it was just great.
Uh, I would
Yeah.
have been I got into the scene just about right then. I just broke into it in central in San Jose.
Okay.
Well, I didn't get to see the full. I didn't. Oh, you just made Ant happy. Ant reviews things. He's not that far away from me either. He's in Chicago.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah, he's a music diehard.
Yeah, I
This is
went
a
to
great.
so many Chicago shows. I would get in my car, and if it was 6 or 8 hours away, I would be there. So Minneapolis shows, Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, Kalamazoo, just like any
Okay,
anywhere between here and Detroit, anywhere between here and St. Louis, here in Minneapolis, Chicago, Green Bay. Green Bay had a pretty good punk scene, actually.
yeah, yeah.
And then of course, like going into Canada from Detroit, like playing in Toronto and Hamilton and stuff like
They
that.
had a
Yeah.
few good venues, and they still got a couple of venues in Detroit. Not as many as they used to. I'm sad to say, but I think every scene can pretty much say that. Like
Yeah, St.
Detroit.
Andrews Hall was the place in Detroit.
Well, it's funny. It's funny when I first got here, I was just right ahead of the corporate takeover. So
Okay.
Clear Channel was coming through. The Nation was coming through. They were buying up all the large venues, and right
Yeah.
before I left, they have just got done buying Bill Graham Presents, and so I got to Detroit, and then I was poking my finger around. I wanted to see what clubs are at. So I met this guy Amir Daza, who used to run all the Detroit clubs,
Okay.
Small, St. Andrews, The Shelter, Clutch Cargo, um, and he, I went out there and watched one of his clubs, and went and talked to him, interviewed with him, and I was real honest with him. I says, in a year from now, you're not going to be here. You're going to be
Yeah.
gone. They're
Yeah.
going to come in. They're going to buy you out. And a year later, Leslie, almost to the day, he called me. I hadn't heard from him in months. I haven't because um, he says, I just want you to know, to be the second to know. And this is before any of his other employees that knew, because he had a great buyer. Perry Smalls was a great buyer. No
Yeah.
problem. No problem admitting that, saying, yeah, because I told him, you got to, your buyer's top. Um, he says, I just want you to know that that's exactly what happened. I sold out. They just made me an offer. I'm selling out to Clear Channel, and
Oh,
yeah. He made a
I
ton of
think
money.
didn't Clear Channel buy out a certain part of Riot Fest or something to do with Riot
They-
Fest? Or
Yeah, they
maybe I'm
bought
wrong.
and they bought all the bigger outdoor venues. They bought out Pine
Yeah.
Knob. They bought out Pine Knob, and Perry, not Perry, but Amir. He got himself. He made himself some. Who knows? He got a million. He got over $1 million. That's for sure.
Yeah,
And
I
they
don't
gave
like
him.
those big like even when Vans Warped Tour started or Lollapalooza, even when Lollapalooza started in the early '90s, I never liked it, man. I never liked those big festivals. I just can't. I
Oh
like
God, no.
a little club, you know.
Little 300. I started out my career in a little 300 seater.
That's perfect.
And then I went on the biggest room I had that I booked, which it could have been something else, but politics. But the biggest room I ever had was 1,200, and then the
Hmm.
one I worked with my buddy Jimmy, that was 1,000 person. Then that was exactly my wheelhouse. I,
Yeah.
I was very happy with a 900 to 1,000 person venue.
Yeah, but
Uh,
outside in the mud with porta potties and like 20
um,
stages, and no, I'm not into that.
no, no,
Uh-uh.
they already did Woodstock back in the '60s. We don't need to we don't need
No,
to go through.
I was at Riot Fest in 2014 to support the Descendants and 7 Seconds, and it was awful. It was just like you know, there's no cell reception because there's so many people there that are using the same Wi-Fi that you just nothing works. There's you know the bathrooms are awful. I mean the only good place to be is really in the artists area or the you know their version of backstage with food and drinks and stuff because it's like it's like all the I mean compared to all the regular people that go to these places it's like being in the regular crowd is like being a peasant compared to like being in the artist area with all the stuff and the deli trays and stuff. It's like, man, those poor kids. It's like I feel bad that they paid all this good money to sit in the mud and stand in the
Yeah,
rain. Ugh.
it was always nice. It was one thing to enjoy the perks of the job is when someone did see you, recognized you, and they said,
Hmm.
"Hey, Leslie," and then you look up and there's somebody from the band or or a manager and they come on over, come on in, and then you're like, "Oh, this is all right."
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of it's prearranged because everybody's on email and cell now. We're just text or you know, it's like, oh, you're coming to town here. You know, you're always on the list. Like I wouldn't with the sentence. I never have to ask. I mean, that's just those guys are like brothers to me, and they always will be. And they're
now,
just one of my
I
favorite
think
bands.
now if I remember, the Descendants were first, and then they split off to Agent Orange.
No, they became All for a while. A
Oh
band
God,
called
yeah,
All
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because Milo went off to college, just like the album Milo
They
Goes to
made
College. He
they
went
made
to
a record.
college, and
Yeah, they made a record.
they
Yeah,
changed singers, and they didn't want to be called the same name anymore.
right.
So Bill
Dave
changed that
Nas,
to All.
Dave Nas was the first singer.
Who was sorry?
Dave Nas. I think he was yeah, well, he was the singer of All.
Smalley, Dave Smalley was singer of All, and then
Was he?
Dave Smalley and Scott Reynolds. I think you're probably mix them up with another band.
It's been like over 20 years. I just
Yeah.
remember them because they were just. And then I know out of that, then Agent Orange. Then I know Joyride came up. It came from there. Meeting Steve Soto. Do you remember Steve Soto?
Oh yeah, he just passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
Hmm.
God, I remember meeting him for the first time. I was like,
Steve was a good guy. Yeah.
he was awesome.
Yeah, we're
And
losing we're losing a lot of good guys lately.
he was
Um,
lucky he lasted as long as he did, though. But I do remember the last time I saw him, though, he had lost like over half his body weight.
yeah, he was doing really, yeah, crazy.
I couldn't believe it when the because I booked him and they said they're going to come, they're going to unload. And I came over there and then I saw him leaning against his car and I'm just like when I walked up I'm going like, that's a big dude. I mean, he's
Is this in San
huge.
Jose?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And he's huge.
Yeah.
And
Was he just solo then? Was he with Kevin Seconds
no,
or was he
no,
just?
he's with the Joyride.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, they put out records for Dr. Dream,
Hmm.
and and it's the first time they played a show at a place called the Cactus Club, but they
Oh,
didn't like
sure.
it. And I gave him my
Really?
card. And said, the next time you come through, you can play for me.
We have a
And
Cactus Club in Milwaukee. That's funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the 2 places or 3 places you'll see a punk band here anymore. In fact, I think it was Cactus Club, just had a drop-in visit from Jack White a few months ago, like a surprise visit because he was doing a normal big gig and they decided to just surprise, stop at a little club and do a small
Mhm.
unexpected gig,
Oh, yeah, we have so many almost with that.
right?
Um, oh, yeah, that was one of the things once in a while, you just wanted to bitch slap an agent, the next day because they said they would call you up there, sit there and say, like, I remember once from my friend Phil, they told him at his club, like, "Hey, so, Neil Young wants to play somewhere after the show tonight." Oh my god, the club jumped through the hoops, jump through damn hoops, get all the he had to go out there, and this is a dance night, so he had to go ahead and think about ending the dance night. He had to go out there and get all this food and everything else, and said, "Well, he might be on his way," and he's going, "Guess who's coming over? Guess who's coming over?" And this is Neil Young, like, "Holy shit!" And then we're waiting and waiting, and then the agent says, the manager says, "Yeah, Neil decided not to do that." And you thinking to yourself, that, they just got done spending two, three, $400 on hospitality. Who's paying
Yeah.
for that? I'll tell you who's paying for that. That the goddamn record label's going to pay for that shit.
I have
Who
a
put me
great Neil
through?
Young story, man. I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Neil Young, um, because he played a gig here in Milwaukee in 1990. Was it 90? It must have been. And Sonic Youth and Social Distortion opened the show.
Can't go
What a
wrong with
bill!
that.
What a bill, right?
Right.
So Sonic Youth was first, Social D played secondly, of course, and Neil Young was headlining. And before Social D went on stage, uh, Mike Ness and the singer and I were watching Sonic Youth, and then he just watched. We just watched like a song or two, and he's like, "All right, it's enough. Let's go back, backstage again." And he goes, "Do you want to meet Neil Young?" I'm like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
sure, of course I do. So we just squandered, squandered in there and had a seat, and they were passing a joint, and of course I, made myself welcome
of
and
course.
had a
A,
nice
a,
little
fri-
sesh
a
with
friend
Neil
in
Young.
a friend with we is a friend indeed.
Yeah, and smoking weed with Neil Young, like, how can you say no to that?
No, 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 man. That must have been that must have been during the Arc Well year.
It was 1990. I was 19. I just wish I would have been older, and appreciated it more. Knew who really knew. I mean, I at the time I didn't really realize who I was sitting next to half the time when these experiences I had back then. Because, well, a lot of cases these guys just got uber famous since then. But a lot of people I met then that just blew me away. That just I got to meet and hang out with Soundgarden in like 1989. Because they were kind of playing the same dates as 7 Seconds because it's kind of like a day or two behind them. So we'd kind of see them everywhere. They were playing with another band called Mind Over Four, and Mind Over Four switched either opening for Soundgarden or opening for 7 Seconds. So it was kind of so, and just saw Nirvana in a small club. You saw Smashing Pumpkins in a small club. Like when all that grunge stuff was coming out, and all us punkers were like, "What the hell is this stuff?" But we like it, like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
they did
not
like it.
it's not really punk, but kind of is. Like we still liked it, and we got to see so many cool bands that became just huge. Just Alice in Chains,
Oh my God.
Mother Love Bone, and like stuff like that.
I
Yeah.
it's a yeah, that's jeez. I met a lot, I met a lot of those bands too. I didn't get a chance to. I think that probably the one band I did turn away though. There's how about this? I was I took over. I took co-booking with the club with Marsugi's, and a guy, really nice guy. His name's Larry, and but he was a folk guy, and we had actually sort of had a coup over the club because the other bar just didn't know it. There she was just putting in names that she didn't know. She wasn't showing up for the her she wasn't working the shows. She was
Okay.
short on cash that we had to make up. I mean, like like we're thinking that they're going to get like $300. They're actually getting $400, and we didn't plan on that and stuff
Oof.
like that. And so my friend Larry, he he took a phone call. He took a phone call. I came in. I came in. He says, I just got a call from this band. They want to come and play a show tonight. I'm like, okay. And says, well, what was the band's name? It was Bad Religion. They wanted to play a off night. And I said, well, okay, great. Did you get the manager's name? What's the phone number so I can call him back? And he says, well, I told him that we didn't have the room because we have a band on tonight.
Oh
It was
no.
it was an acoustic show, and I just look at him going like, you don't know who Bad Religion is, do you?
What year was
Because
this?
this is 90.
Yeah, that's when I met them. That's funny.
And yeah, I just shook my head. I going like, well, I can't. So I had to go talk to the club owner. I said, sit there, said, listen, he's a super nice guy, and I really, really like him, but co-booking this venue is not going to work. It's either
That's
you're gonna have to have me or him, but you're not going to have both. And so he says, well, you obviously know what you're doing, so you take it. And he was pissed, but I
I
just said,
bet.
hey, I said, hey, if this was a coffee shop, you'd be the man for the job. But I had no problem saying, no problem with that. But you just turned away Bad Religion. You just turned them away. We could have had imagine we would have had 400, 500 people right here, if not more.
You should see them play in Southern California. It's like seeing they're the
Royalty,
hugest band ever out there. I mean,
royalty.
they book for like they used to book like 3 weeks in a row at the House of Blues. Like it was
Hmm.
insane.
Hmm.
But I hung out with those guys for a good 20 years, and I remember when Green Day opened for Bad Religion.
Yep,
I saw
yep.
I saw Green Day open for them at First Avenue in Minneapolis. People are like, "Oh, who are these guys?" Like,
Yeah, I remember Green Day when they were opening up in Gilmore.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
no, I guess we should talk a little bit about this. But how did you go from being in music? How did that translate to you becoming an actress? I mean,
And
I
that
know
I mean,
we got
I
to talk
just
about that. We got to talk about that sooner than later.
yeah,
No, but
right.
how did
Well,
you trans?
I got into it in my late 20s. I mean, looking back, I wish I would have got into that when I was 18. I just was not concentrating on acting when I was 18. I was concentrating on getting in my Toyota Tercel and following my friends' bands around, like, and working a job and going to college. That was like, and that's what I was concentrating on. And then when I was around 26, 27, I lost a shit ton of weight. And I just don't think I had the confidence for it at the time. And then I got down to a normal weight and I just got really confident and wanted to try it. And I went and got a headshot done at just like a Sears or something, or Boston store or something. I didn't know what I was doing, just a black and white head 8x10. And I brought it into a local agency who is now again my agent, which is really funny because I made a full circle back to them, but they're great. They've been doing this for so long. I brought it into them and said I wanted to be an actor and what kind of opportunities are in the city of Milwaukee for that. And they said, well, there's really not much when it comes to acting here, but we have commercial print. And I was like, what's that? I didn't even know what that was. So I started doing a lot of modeling just for local and some national stuff. And I was on the back of a board game and I was in some pamphlets and some magazines and stuff. And that's really good money. I mean, it was like 125 bucks an hour, and you're not getting it every day. But when you did book work, it was really good. And then I started really getting interested in not just showing up and getting photographed, but actually, talking too. So we had this opportunity to move out to LA when my husband was fired from his family business that he'd been working at since he was a kid. And, you know, big,
How,
big
how,
family scuffle with the dad and with the brother. And we left and they ended up owing us quite a bit of money because my husband had been half owner for a little while, not long, but long enough that they owed us a good chunk of change. So like, let's move, man. Nobody, let's just get the hell out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. Just Milwaukee in general just made me sick. Just everything about it. My mom had already left. My mom was in South Dakota. Um, I had other family here. He had other family here, but we were just like, let's escape. Let's get the hell out of here. And I always wanted to move to LA and to be specific, Huntington Beach, Orange County, because I was
right?
very familiar with Huntington Beach, and I had two little kids, and I didn't want to move to LA with two little kids. I knew, I needed to put them in a good school and stuff. So I'm like, just come out to Huntington Beach with me for like 5 days and you'll probably change your mind. And by the time we left, he was like, oh yeah, I like it. Let's look for a
Yeah,
house.
Huntington Beach is nice.
So we looked for
It's
a house, bought a house, took a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old out there and pretty much told everybody here to F off. I mean, not in so many words, but some family members anyway, just like, see ya.
it
Went out
happens.
there. We went out there and we had a paycheck every 3 months for 5 years from them. So we didn't really have to worry about money until the sixth year, where Eric went back to work a few years into our stay there, and we moved there in '06. He went back to work in '09. We moved back here in 12. We could have probably made it work if I had got myself a real job and worked a 9 to 5 like he did. I didn't really want to be a mom that worked a 9 to 5 job. I didn't want my kids to have both parents working if we didn't need to, and it wasn't necessary. But I'm like, yeah, let's move back. But man, I regret moving back every day since I moved back. It's just, I don't know. There's ups and downs about it. I mean, the business end of it was great out there. It was great having so many auditions and I mean, I was so close so many times. I got that Days of Our Lives. But there were so many almost that I was so close to. I almost booked the pilot for American Horror Story. I almost booked Nip Tuck a few times. I almost booked Weeds a couple times. I almost booked House. I almost booked Mad Men. I had a lot of great auditions out there, and being in the union really helped get my feet in the doors of some of these great auditions. Um, but then moving back, it was just like, oh, here I am. I'm back
Don't,
to
don't,
back
don't,
to
don't,
zero, huh?
no, don't despair, because I mean the fact of the matter is that some people already, someone like Austin, and hopefully some more people in Iowa. Hopefully that will translate to something for you, because
Oh, and Robert Lasardo. I mean, Robert Lasardo was for American Trash was was full circle for me because I admired him on Nip Tuck season 1 so much. Was such a huge Nip Tuck fan. Ended up auditioning for Nip Tuck a few times, and casting director really liked me. There was just not a role at the time for me, and so he had me come in for a couple of movies that he was casting, and then also American Horror Story, which the character that I tried out for was written out of the show. So but I almost had it, just stuff like that. All these almost, like, all the time. And then moving back here and getting American Trash 10 years after I moved back, and getting to work with Robert Lasardo, who I admired in Nip Tuck. It was just, it's full circle. It was
While
just,
we're Lasardo, we actually, there's a group of us. We call it the Church of Lasardo. We're just all big fans of his.
it's
And I
great.
first saw him play. I saw him in a movie called Silencer.
Hmm.
And one thing I can think of was that guy is he played the bad guy, but he played
Of
a bad
course.
guy he played a bad guy with heart. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't a bad guy. He was more like an anti-hero. Hi Snow, how are you? And Sean's here, and Ant Review things mentioned about Boris the Sprinkler. I know those guys. I know who
I've
Boris the
seen him
Sprinkler was.
play. I've seen him play a lot.
Yep. God, weren't they on
You're
I
talking
want to
about
say they
Green
were
Bay. You're talking about Green Bay, right?
um
Is this person in Green Bay?
um yeah, I'm thinking, but I think that I saw the records route. I know they play. I know they put out some records.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Uh, um, let's see. And Snow's telling you never to give up. I agree with that. But
No, I've never given up. No.
Yeah, look at Robert Lasardo. I mean, that guy's out. That guy is. I saw him in Silencer, and a great movie. So it totally blew me away. Tito Ortiz was in it. Really blew me away.
Tito Ortiz.
Yes,
That's funny. Speaking of
yeah,
Huntington Beach.
yeah.
Yeah.
He tried to be a mayor. Um,
Well, I kind of knew Jenna Jameson, so um, I was kind of buddies with her while she was married to him. A little bit.
well, I'm sure that I'm sure. I mean, it's like I liked his acting, but I don't necessarily agree with how he looks at life. But I thought
Yeah, right? Yeah,
as an actor, he shocked the hell out of me. I
that's
did
cool.
not think
I haven't seen that.
yeah, I did not know that he'd be so good. But yeah, The Silencer is a great movie, and I got to be one of the guys in that. He's been on the show, and I'm glad to call him a friend. and his name's Mike Ferguson. And,
Okay.
and actually, in a really small world, Mike Ferguson, who's a character actor out in L.A., he also worked in music. He worked as a talent buyer out in Boston. He owned a small label out there too. So I was like, when I first met him and learned his backstory, I was like, oh, really? You're so he knew he knew the Dropkick Murphys. He knew just a ton of great bands in Boston.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but Robert Lazaro, yeah. And then I started noticing that he popped up in everywhere, and he always played a really quiet guy. He was never loud or really brassy, you know.
Mhm, mhm.
But you knew that once he looked at you, yeah, your character was probably gonna die. You're probably gonna end up getting killed by him. Um,
We had a pretty intense scene. It was pretty cool.
um,
Um,
yeah, he's just a tremendous talent. So how did you meet him? Was this
I was cast, he cast me in his film and I flew out to LA to film a scene with him. That's how I met him. Like,
so he
I
saw
met
you?
him. The
So
first time I met him was right before we filmed our scene, really. So
I have a feeling that he's just absolutely 100% playing himself.
yes and no. I mean, he's definitely a method actor and he's very intense. He's not the kind of person you can come right up to right before you start filming a scene because he's in it. He's just, so am I. I mean, and I think he recognized some things that we both do when it comes to acting and when it comes to technique that we both had in common that we both really respected about each other. Like, I could tell the way he was working before we started filming, to not
I
bother him and
what
not
was
talk to him and just and well, he did end up, he until he started talking to me, which I let him do. And then once we were done, then it was like, oh, okay, now we're back to ourselves. And he's very chill and very in he's intense, but he's one of those people that you can talk to about absolutely anything, like even if you had just met them a moment ago. He's just makes you feel really comfortable, and he doesn't judge anybody. He's he's
Oh,
been
he
on.
and the fact that he does so many movies, that the fact that and I'm really happy for him for this one. He sent me the screener to American Trash. I had no
Mhm,
idea what it was about. I had no
mhm,
idea it was. Then I'm watching it and I'm going to myself and going like, no, if Tarantino's had half his talent and three-quarters of the guy's balls, he could have made a movie. He could have made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
mhm.
That he could, that movie wants to be American Trash. American Trash
Right?
was so much better. I was sitting here blown away. Like, man, this is I just don't get it how I don't get how this frustrates me because you see this too with great bands, right? See a great band playing in front of 20 people, and then you got the sellouts down the road playing in front of 10,000. You're going like, this band over here is so much better than this band.
Mhm,
No one
mhm.
will ever know it. And I'm
No,
sitting
it's
here and
just, yeah. It's
I'm sitting here watching American Trash, and I'm going like, this is a brilliant movie. It is.
well,
It's
it's two things. It's timing and it's money, I think. And the time,
definitely
and a good example of the timing is the Descendants made, well, somebody made a documentary about the Descendants called Filmage a few years ago, and Dave Grohl talks about them in it, and because they're one of Dave Grohl's favorite bands, and Dave Grohl said something very poignant. He said if they would have made Milo Goes to College in the year 2000 instead of 1982, those guys would have been millionaires. And he's right, because it's basically what Blink 182 did. They just totally copied the Descendants, right? It's just
right.
timing. It's timing. And then I mean, it's like some of the best acting work I've ever seen in my entire life was in a room this big, like a 10 by 10 classroom at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Like, holy shit. Like, this is the best actor I've ever seen in my life. This guy's blowing me away. This person hasn't even graduated yet. There's such a natural talent, and I still check for some of these people I graduated with. What are they doing? Where are they? There's a few of them that I graduated with that are doing pretty great. My friend Carson was in the new Joker movie that just came out, and he was also in that movie Babylon with Margot Robbie. Has a great
Oh,
scene with Margot Robbie in that movie. He's the sound engineer in that film. A friend that I graduated with, Ivana, she's been doing network TV. She was on an ABC show, Station 19, recently. So there's a few of us. They're doing better in my opinion, but there's a few of us from that graduating class that are doing well. But I mean, it's such a numbers game. There's so many people doing it now, and especially now with people self taping, or you can live anywhere and audition anywhere and send it in. It's like, eh, I
you
hate
like
it.
to, did you have to self tape for Robert, or did he cast
Yeah,
you based okay.
I self taped for him, but I already noticed my name was on the cast on IMDb before I even sent my audition.
Oh,
So
wow,
he knew I was in before I even got my tape.
that's
Um,
amazing.
which was cool. But I don't like self taping. I'm gonna be honest. I'd rather drive an hour and a half each way, even, whether it's Huntington Beach to LA or here to Chicago and back, which is the same distance pretty much, and spend 3 hours in the car and 5 minutes in the room, than messing around with my stuff here and setting up my
Wow.
lights and doing my
Now you got
camera
perfect.
and
Now,
editing and
oh,
ugh, and then choosing what take you think is the best to send. How do I know what they want? I
right.
I do like a good 3 takes, let's say. I used to go nuts and do like 10, and my agent's like, you don't need to do that many. Just work on it more before you start taping and get it in you more, and then do like a good 3 maybe, and then choose. It's like, well, how do I choose? I like, they're all just a little different from each other, and one of them's got something better than the other one in the beginning, but the other one's got a better ending, and the other one looks better, has better lighting. It's like, it drives me insane. I would
Yeah.
rather I would rather get in my car with my coffee and blast my music and even scramble to park. I don't care. And pay $20 to park. I don't care. And get me in a room with somebody that's actually going to tell me what they want. Because uh, the self taping is it's easy. I mean, not for me, obviously. It's easy for a lot of
What is it?
actors, but um, I don't think I shouldn't use the word fair. I just don't think it's cool that not only are we having to worry about our work now, but we have to worry about the lighting and the backdrop and um where I'm going to cut myself off. How far away do I have to stand to get a full body shot in my camera? How all this crap. It's like,
Yeah, but
and
you do
then
got one. But you do got one secret weapon though, and it is a secret weapon. You do have it. You got a husband and who can run lines with you and help you do that. So many actors rely on their spouse to make that happen. You'd be shocked how many. They set up
oh,
the
I know.
audition, they set the tape. So you do got a powerful advocate for yourself.
Yep,
And
that's true.
he knows you better than anybody. He knows the lighting. He knows what lighting to use. I mean, in a sense, you got all you have to do
Well, it's
really.
all set up for him, but by the time he comes in here, he's just talking. I do all this stuff. He doesn't even. I mean, he's a mechanical engineer. He's retired now, but he was a mechanical engineer. So that's both good and bad because he's really great at the technical end of stuff. But do you do you think I'm a little critical of the way he reads? Yeah.
Oh, oh yeah. Well,
It's very monotone.
one of my favorite ones was this one actress. She had to do a scene where she was faced off against a gangster. And so, she said she told her husband, "You're going to really have to sink your teeth into it." And
Oh,
so, sure enough, they said, go, and he just goes at it
no, that would be
she said,
impossible with my husband. He wouldn't do
she,
that. He wouldn't
she
even
said,
you wouldn't get it out of him. Uh-uh.
"Oh my gosh,
I would have to call an actor friend and do a Zoom call off to the side and have their voice in the room, or I could have an actor friend pre-record lines for me where I'd give them a copy of the scene that I'm doing an audition for and say, okay, this is my character, this is your character. Read to yourself silently my lines to give me enough time to respond, and then they'll send me like a pre-recorded, responses. And then that's even another challenge because you have to make sure that your your lines aren't overlapping theirs because they're pre-recorded already. It's a pain in the ass. That's
yes,
another reason I like going to the actual person. It's like Another thing not to worry about. And what the the real banger about self tapes is it's opening up the possibilities to so many more actors. Like, because agents can take on more um,
Yeah, that's that.
clients
Yeah, yeah,
and send
yeah.
more auditions in. But then, in my opinion, the pool is getting, I don't even know how to, I don't even know the verbiage to use, but
It's getting
it's
deep. I mean,
just,
there's a lot
it,
of TV shows being made out there, and the fact that what's going on too is, you know, linear TV as we know it is probably on its way out. It's probably, like ABC. I think they had like I think how many scripted hours a week. I think they said I think it was like they had one comedy, and I think they had like 10 and a half hours or 9.5 or 10.5 hours out of a 20-hour week, um, or even 24 hours a week, and that's all they would book. That's all they would book is just 10 hours or 9.5 hours. That's not very much room for scripted entertainment. Now,
it's so, that's another reason I wish I would have gotten into this when I was 18 and right out of high school and just moved to New York and just tried out
yeah,
and pounded the pavement.
but now you got some serious experience. I mean, doing a movie with Robert Lasardo,
No,
you
it's
know,
awesome.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure the door has opened quite wide since that's happened.
No, no, not really. I mean,
Really?
not
Not not not
not
not any more phone calls at all?
just the
Mm.
regular stuff so far. I mean, I'm trying to submit to more agencies and maybe get West Coast representation again because there's a very good possibility my oldest kid is moving out there with his girlfriend because she's from Calabasas and they're probably going to be moving out there in August. So I downsized to a smaller house here with my husband last summer, and we moved to the south side of Milwaukee by the airport, away from our big house in the burbs, and I love it. And it's always been my goal to have another apartment or something like that in the LA area. And now that he's going to be out there, I'll probably do that in the near future. And I'd love to have a rep out there and see what. But like you said, you don't really have to be in any particular city anymore. It's just and it's timing. That working with Robert was great timing. I mean, I didn't even get that audition through a like an actual, like, we usually get our stuff on Actors Access, or that our agent will send us a breakdown and we'll find out about something on Facebook or Instagram maybe. But this was just like the most obscure, weird little website that I was on with other actors. It was just all other actors and filmmakers and directors and stuff. Just, it was kind of like an IMDb. It's not an IMDb itself, but it was like an IMDb kind of a sister company of them, or not even a sister company of them. It was like a website where you could click on other people's IMDb pages so that you could support other people, and that's how he found me. Or one of the people working on his for him on the movie, Sasha, found me, and then they cast me, and it was just very strange because I had known who he was for a long time, and I was such a huge Nip Tuck fan, and especially season one, and I just thought he played the ultimate bad guy, and I thought his work was amazing, and then I just happened to. She's like, oh, do you know who Robert Lasardo is? He's going to be directing his first movie, and I'm like, yeah, damn straight, I know who he is. It was just strange. It was just like things like that just come like a
What
lightning bolt sometimes, and you might never get it again for another 5 years,
what did
and
you
I know
think of
that.
that? What did you
Hmm?
think of the topic?
Of what?
What
Sorry.
did what did you think of the topic? I mean,
Oh, I mean, it's intense, and it's PTSD is pretty. It's not, that's not a comedy, that's for sure. You know,
oh no,
um,
no.
are you talking about the
I
Charles
really like,
Charles Manson aspect of it?
yes.
I don't, I don't have a problem with that. Like a lot of people seem
I know.
to.
I guess it's the question I'm going to ask him next month when him and I talk. Me is like like I was just wondering if he was, because Charles Manson was two different people.
Oh
He
yeah,
was a mass killer, as we all know,
but
and
he
then
didn't kill
there's
anybody.
well, every U.S. president would be innocent then.
I
Um,
know, right?
yeah,
Yeah, but you know why Charlie was mad though, right? Because Charlie didn't make it as a rock star. You know that
that's gonna
story,
say
right?
he was before, yes, before
He
the
was
family happened.
pissed.
Yeah.
He got screwed over
Now,
by the Beach Boys, and
but what Manson, see, what Manson do you talk about? Like, to me, it's like, man, because he is the number one. He's number one in American history about books written about him, and movies and books combined. He's number one that American has covered. When we're talking about Tarantino's pilot, Hot Shit, and the story behind that. No, I'm not a fan of Tarantino at all.
right.
This movie, I tell people, I already told this to people. I said Tarantino wanted to make American. If he wanted to make American trash, if he had the
Mm,
talent, he could have.
he should
But
watch it. Yeah.
uh, yeah, he.
Mhm.
I was so blown away by that, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, it's just okay, because it's a heavy question to ask somebody. It's like, so what Manson are we talking about here? Because I can talk about the Manson who did music. I could understand his frustration and not making it, and because we've all run across that, the starving artist. I get that, and in some parts you can even sympathize with that.
Mhm.
The other aspect about that is where they glorify him. They glorify him. I
Mhm.
mean, like Tarantino did it. There's no doubt. No one will ever change my mind about that. But he was glorifying him with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
That that part I can't connect with. I
Mhm.
can't sit there and watch somebody, and to me, it was just sitting here and going like, man, that's a really heavy question to ask somebody. It's like, what part of that person are we talking about? Are
Mhm.
you paying attention to? Because it is two distinct personalities.
Yeah, and
I
you
it,
and you and you remember how the women that knew him used to talk about him. They just said that he was so, you know, intriguing, and that he spoke to them and they just had their eyes opened, and then he was just really, how he coaxed them, how he groomed them, like before all the murders went down, like Leslie Van Houten and Sadie Mikuletz and all those people, like, they just worshipped him. Like, they just probably saw that musician starving artist guy, that really intense spiritual guy, and then things went bad. Then things went wrong. And something just happened to happen one night, and then it never was the same, you know?
it makes you wonder, like, if Robert met the real Charles Manson, if they met each other in the alley, what would happen?
Right?
Would Robert have a drink with them, or would Robert just not kick the shit out of him?
I remember reading Helter Skelter when I was way too young to read that book. I think I was 11 or 12. And I read that book to cover, and I was reading horror books back then,
Yeah.
and I had this, like, I wanted to be like a news reporter when I grew up, and I wanted to go into the prison and interview him. That was like my dream, to interview Manson and to interview the son of Sam. It's just
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I remember.
yeesh.
I remember the summer of son of. It really I remember. It really does. It is a real boggling question. It's like, why do we have a fascination with such destructive people?
Right.
I mean, it's not just Charles Manson either. It's like, it's
Mm-mm.
not. We've done it with everyone in our history. Bonnie and
Right.
Clyde.
Yeah.
Bonnie and Clyde. Gotti, John Gotti. I mean, uh,
Even those bad boy musicians that just seem to not be able to do anything wrong, that
oh
just
my
are
God.
always rock
Yeah.
gods no matter what they do with, like, little girls and everything else. It doesn't seem to matter.
No,
Mhm.
no. Well, a little harder these days, thank God.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm talking about,
early,
like, the 70s. I'm talking about, like, the 70s when, like,
mhm.
Jimmy Page, had, like, a 13-year-old groupie in LA, and that was, like, the normal
Elvis
thing.
Presley married his 14-year-old cousin.
With whose cousin?
Was Elvis Presley with his cousin,
Okay.
uh, Jerry Lee Lewis with his cousin.
Right.
Um, let's see. Snow mentions that the talent pool, is getting super saturated with
Yeah.
mediocrity. That's funny too, because that's what I read that. I think Liam Neeson said this, not Liam Neeson, but Liam Hemsworth said that. He said that people don't know how to act. They think that going to the gym and going to the beach, and working social media, that they're acting. They're working on being an actor, and it's like, no, he's absolutely right. You're not. Um,
Mhm.
it takes a lot more than that. It takes a lot of hard work.
It does.
Um,
But then you also find out as an actor, even if you do the hard work and you put the time in to make your work believable, and and then there's but that doesn't mean there aren't actors out there that don't do that at all, and those actors seem to get cast no problem too. I mean, I don't know how many network uh and non-network television dramas you've seen lately. Maybe I don't know, subject matters, or doesn't matter what the subject matter is. There's a couple of different shows my husband's been watching on Netflix lately, and it's just like, are those people just like reading lines? I mean, some of them are
yeah,
just so bad, and it reminds me of like really bad soap acting. And soap actors work their butt off. I mean, soap actors are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. You know, working on like more than 5 episodes a week. They're working on continuous episodes that aren't even in chronological order. They're always memorizing lines like crazy, like 40 pages a day. It's nuts. But so I understand why it would be hard to always put out really convincing acting when you have to memorize so much work. But even just people that have little 2 or 3 liners on some shows, it's just like, wow, those people were just hired for their looks and that's it. And so many of it, so much of it is it's just age and race and looks. And some people don't even have to open their mouth. All they have to do is have the casting director look at that headshot and go, "Oh, I want him. I want her."
it's a,
They
it's a
don't have
real,
any training. Oh, that's okay. They don't need training. That's fine.
no, no. As long as they have a good social media,
That's another thing that's awful too. Some agents won't even look at you unless you have a certain number of followers, and it's like that's not what this is about.
yeah, isn't
I
that
don't,
something?
and I hate marketing myself. I'd rather have somebody tell me to market somebody else. Like I'll come on here all day and say the Descendants are great and Robert Lasardo's great and the Circle Jerks are great. I mean, I can pump up all these different, but when it comes to pumping up myself, I'm not good at that. I don't like doing that. I don't like saying, "Oh, here I am. Look, follow me. I'm going to buy 250,000 followers so I can get big." I mean, that's not how this works to me, man. I'm not doing this for money and I'm not doing this for fame. I'm just doing this to be believable, and hopefully all the work I put out there is believable, and that's really all I care about.
Yeah, I can see that. I can sense that.
Yeah.
I mean, a chance to go out there and just cut your teeth and and the cut, to act showcase the talent. I get that. I do.
Mhm.
Um,
And
and
just
but
LA,
what?
I was just fortunate to do the first 6 years of the serious stuff that I did and actually be in LA. And I mean, you're one of many people that have told me in the past year or two, "Oh, Hollywood's dying. People are leaving Hollywood. There's nobody working there anymore." It's like, yes and no. I mean, I think more productions out there are going non-union. I think since the unions had a lot of ups and downs and strikes and all that stuff, they're still scratching their way back up there to make things right. And there's just a
Well,
lot of
Hollywood's
currents
still
from
making
that stuff. What's that?
they're still making the same mistake. I mean, at least I can sit there and say this about the record, about the music, about music. As far as that goes, is that at least they try to change their stripes. At least they try to put something different into it.
Hmm.
As far as that goes, now bands can actually have a chance to earn their own money, to make their own way and control their own careers. Before they were totally dependent on the record company. That's all they
Hmm.
depended on, was getting that one contract. And even now, even so, that contract didn't assure them anything. The only thing you signing for a label really did was put you in debt. And then you had to
Right.
sell yourself out of there. But with acting though, it's like, mm, it's yeah, you're right. It's people are moving out because I think they get tired of fighting the number game. I think it's one of the reasons why they leave is because they're tired of fighting the numbers
No,
game.
plus the
They-
expense too. It's like the California regulations that the state of California just puts on it. Doing any kind of business is insane.
yeah,
And it's not just the movie business, it's all business. They're like, "Oh, do you know how many less taxes I'd have to pay if I moved my business out of California?" I mean, I hear that all day, every day. But you know what? California is awesome. I don't care what anybody's like. I am such a I'm such a California girl at heart, and I wanted to move out there since I was 11 years old, and I got to do it when I was 35, and I'd been wanting to move out there since I was 18, and I was being out there. It's like this. it's a kind of city where you can wake up at 6 in the morning and go to bed at midnight, and you're still just full of energy, and you just can't wait to wake up the next morning and do it again and meet more people and da, da, da. It's there's such an electricity out there because there's so many people out there doing and following their dream and going after what they want, and you don't really see that in a Rust Belt city so much. And nothing against Rust Belt cities like Milwaukee or Detroit or Chicago. I love them to death, but you're not going to see so many artists and so in such a small area every day, all day long, day after day after day. I mean, I got
But
to,
I'll
I,
say this though. I'll
you
say
know,
this. If what's really cool about working at a small market like, like a Milwaukee or Des Moines or or Cleveland. If you want to work, I mean, if you're an actor and if you want to work, there's opportunity. Whereas in
mhm.
California, there's opportunity, but there's also like you have to get out there and do that thing. You have to get out there and mosh and smooze and shake hands and go to all these different events. You have to
You
go
don't
out there
have
and
to, you
continuously.
don't have to, but it's damn fun to do it, you
It's
know?
that, but you still do got to do it though, because you got to make an impression.
I
In
knew a lot of
California,
actors that didn't even play with that. I mean, there were many days I went home at 1 o'clock when I got out of school and went back to Huntington Beach and didn't budge until the next morning. And it's draining. I had two little kids. I didn't want to be totally gone for them, you know. And I picked my events here and there, and I got to know some writers and more musicians because I took writing lessons with Pamela DeBar, who wrote that book I'm with the band, and she
right,
hung out with Jim Morrison and all these Jimmy Page and all these crazy people, Keith Moon, and she had writing classes at her house. And I was her student for years, and it was every Tuesday night at her house in LA. And she had some killer parties in her backyard that I met Pee Wee Herman and Melanie Griffith and and Ed Begley Jr. and just people that were married to musicians that were actors, stuff like that. It's Michael DeBar, her ex husband, who was in a ton of bands, and he's a very brilliant actor too. He was in To Sir with Love. That was his very first movie when he was like 16 years old. So that's more of the people I'm like. More of the parties I went to were more of the writing musician types, but the acting world and the music world in LA is so it's like right there next to each other. It's like porn stars, musicians, actors. It's like they're all hanging out at the same places, and it's funny, but it's true. So
yeah. I mean, back when I was floating around there, it was all on the strip. I'm not sure where it is now, but back then it was on the strip. And see, our friend Sue has come in, and she stopped by, and then Snow's here, still hanging out with us, and Mighty Casey, Iterboy Kaiju. See, and Snow mentioned about that for Genius, make all my money off merch. Yeah, that's what everybody has to do
it's all
now.
merch. It's all merch.
All merch. That's the reason why you go.
Merch and the gig itself. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
It's not like
Uh,
they're putting a record out and saying 6 months later, oh, how much do we make off that record? That doesn't exist anymore.
no, no, not unless you're Taylor Swift.
Right.
She's probably the only one that can do that now. She's probably the
Maybe.
only one. She's probably the only one is I want to touch bases with you before we because our time's
Yeah.
running
I
short.
get
But
him.
I definitely want to. I just want to ask you know, and working on the set with Robert. I mean, what was there anything that you picked up from him from the way he ran a set that you could apply to your own craft?
Um, just emotionally, I guess it wasn't really. I mean, it was a emotionally sure, and like I can say that he was very no, I'm just I'm totally spacing on the word here, but he's very respectful of you, especially if you come prepared and knowing your lines, and if he seems to respect your work and like your work, he's very nice to work with. But like I said, he's intense at the same time. So you I wasn't pressured to do a good job for him. I just wanted to do a good job for him, and I came from my hotel and parked my car and walked down the block, and it wasn't really a set per se. It was just the scene for that day. It was like that church scene where you see him walk in, and we're at the funeral of Melissa, his girlfriend that and I play her mother. Um,
Right.
so I was just in and out in like 3 hours, and I just went back to my hotel. So I wasn't really there that long. But he was very respectful and very supportive, and it's just I'm not one of those people to geek out over people so much. I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people that I love and admire in music and in acting, and I've never been like, oh my god, I love you in
I
this and this.
I
I'm
I fanboyed a couple of times.
I just can't. I don't do that because I want them to just treat me as just kind of. I don't know. I just think it freaks a lot of people out. There's been a
Oh God, yes.
I've
Yeah,
seen friends of mine do
I
that.
watch people do that. I watch people go Google over that, and it's like, yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah.
Unless you're my friend Jimmy, and you're running. You brought a whole stack of Cheap Trick albums and posters and stuff like that, and then see him run. You ever see Wile E. Coyote run?
Yeah.
On his tiptoes, he's running across the screen. That was my friend Jimmy when he met Cheap Trick. He had a fanboy moment. That was brilliant, though.
I met Cheap Trick by accident at some they were playing some Milwaukee festival. It was like 1989 or something like that. It might have been 90, and it was a metal kind of mostly metal bands, but they were on the bill. And they're from Rockford, Illinois, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. They're not. I was gonna say they're right next door to you.
Yeah, but we went and so whoever was in charge of going to pick them up from the hotel or whatever, I got to ride with them to go pick them up. And
Uh,
uh we made a sign very akin to the sign in the movie Spinal Tap where they go to pick up Spinal Tap at the airport and they're holding up a sign that says Spinal Tap instead of tap. So we held up a sign that said Cheap Tick instead of Cheap Trick, and they weren't happy or amused at all. But
oh,
we just tried
wow,
to have fun with them. They weren't happy. But that's my
wow.
Cheap
That's
Trick
a little,
story.
yeah. Oh, wow. They were, yeah. I guess they've seen everything, though, is what it is. And I think they just like,
They're like,
um,
"Who's this little 18-year-old girl with this dumb sign?" They're probably what we're thinking that.
well,
Who's this chubby girl with this sign?
you just say you're just spelling challenge. So what's next for you now that you've done this movie?
I don't
Um,
know. We'll see.
oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
you can ask some of the most famous people out there what's next, and they'll be like, I don't know. I don't even know if I'll ever work again, and that's true. Like you never know. I don't know what's next.
Oh, yeah, no, you're not even kidding. You know what's funny? It's like on my channel I review movies, uh,
right.
I put on a movie called Welcome to Mooseport, and it's the last movie that Gene Hackman ever did.
Oh,
But
I
at the
love Gene
time,
Hackman.
no one would have ever known that. I go
Yeah,
ahead and put that movie on there, and I'm watching the movie. At the end of the movie, the one thing I can think of was shaking my head, going like, why did he feel like he had to retire off that? He's obviously was still top of his game. He was, I mean, he stole that movie. That whole movie was just nothing but Gene Hackman. I
he's so
mean,
good.
he
Yeah.
was so damn good. And it's like, why did he feel like there was nothing else out there? I'm sure there was. And I just made me just like, wow, I don't.
I think he said something in an interview that I saw of him recently, a couple, right around the time he died, there was an interview and he was just really humble about it. He's like, I don't know how long I'm going to do this. He's like, I've been fortunate to have been doing it this long, but and so many people were so blown away by his work and his tech. He didn't really have even have a technique. I mean, I can't say that because I didn't know the guy, but it didn't seem like he had a technique because he just was so believable and so natural and everything he ever did. And the first time I saw him was when I was a kid and he played Lex Luthor, and I loved Lex Luthor more than I loved Superman in that movie because he was such a great actor, man. Such a
I
great
don't.
actor.
The one person I would actually probably put with him that's today working today, same type of personality is probably Jason Sudeikis.
Mm,
He has Gene Hackman's personality where he could be so happy-go-lucky, but he could spin on a dime and be your worst enemy. He had
yeah.
that. I mean, he just it's just there's nothing like it. There's
Hmm.
nothing like. And I'm watching him in Mooseport. It was just strictly comedy, and I'm just seeing how good he was, and I was just like, I just don't get it. I mean, he was mm, just.
I think there's so many comedians that are such great actors that are even better than real that have been actors their whole lives that start as comics or start as stand-ups and then become real
Yeah.
serious actors. Like I think we would have seen some real amazing things from Chris Farley had he lived. I think there was talks of
Yeah,
him.
you know,
There was talks of him playing a Fatty Arbuckle role in an old Hollywood kind of movie, and he would have been
I,
amazing with that.
that's, I don't know. I'm not straight edge or anything like that, but I mourned John Candy far more than I did Chris Farley. Chris Farley,
And you're into who more? Sorry.
John Candy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Sure,
mourned him and Robin Williams. Chris
sure, of
Farley,
course. Yeah.
I just looked at him and he was like, he wasted he wasted it. He did
But do
that,
you remember how John Candy like just broke your heart in Uncle Buck? Like like just one of the funniest guys ever. But in Uncle Buck, it was like, man, I feel or in Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, like
Oh yeah,
I felt so
yeah,
bad for the guy. Like he was amazing, great actor.
brilliant actor,
Yeah.
brilliant. Hey, let's see. Snow says, honestly, I never stopped working, even when I'm supposed to have retired. I just kept right on going. If you ever want a project to work on, I got so much stuff that I can just hand off to you. Um, let's see. See, Robin Williams and Farley were the greatest of all time.
Hmm.
I'll go with one of those two, but I was never was a Chris Farley fan. I never
No,
was.
I wasn't either that much when he was out doing this, like when he was present and I was in my late 20s and he was out doing his thing. I wasn't really into him either. But now looking back, I really appreciate him a lot more. I
Yeah,
think it maybe
I
has to
was
do with
really
me
appreciate.
learning more about him as a person than once I read somebody's biography or hear an interview or about them or of them, even if I'm not a fan, I sometimes become a fan later because I'm like, wow, they're really interesting, and then I learn more about them, and then I become a fan and end up like becoming a Black Sabbath fan, like in my late 20s or actually in my early 20s when I could have been listening to Black Sabbath like since the time I was 2 or 3 years old, but of course I wasn't because my parents were listening to like Neil Diamond and the Carpenters, right? But
Hey, but
I didn't
they
know
can't
how
tell
awesome the Sabbath I didn't know how awesome the Sabs were until after I was in punk rock for a few years and then realizing that a lot of these bands were influenced by Black Sabbath. I'm like, who's Black Sabbath? Oh, Ozzy? Oh, that's Ozzy? Oh, and then listening to Old Sabbath and being like, what? Why weren't my parents listening to
I
Black
wonder
Sabbath?
how many male drummers were influenced by Karen Carpenter.
Right? Yeah.
Karen Carpenter was a world class drummer, and
Yeah, she was.
there's many drummers, contemporary drummers, that going like she was badass. Go back and watch her, really watch her, and you'll
Yeah,
see yeah.
I know.
Let's see, he was like that in real life too. John Candy. He John Candy he just seemed like the nicest guy. I
Yeah.
was so he had just started to change his lifestyle. He started getting healthy, he started working out, watching what he eat. And I think he was like just a few weeks months into it, and then he
Hmm.
had back, and that's just like, oh wow. All right. I think our time. Oh yes, I have.
Yeah, I gotta go eat.
I was gonna say I kept you way longer than I
Dinner
thought,
time.
but
That's
we'll come
fine.
back and do this again.
Sure.
I will definitely do this again. And I'm gonna say hi to if you don't mind, I'll say hi on your behalf to Austin.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to work with Austin. Now, as long as we can get my SAG contract, I'm fine.
Yeah, yeah, Austin. I'll send this over to him and say, hey, I found somebody. Um,
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I like I said, start poking around in Iowa. There's so much going on over there.
Oh, that's
You'll
good
be
to
blown
know.
away. Yep, yep. So there's work out there with dedicated, hardworking. And a lot of these folks in our chat, they've seen some of the interviews that we've done with those folks from those areas, and
Oh,
they've
that's
worked.
cool.
Yeah, I feel blessed that I got into that little pipeline.
I'm gonna
Talking
check
to
it out. I had no idea. That's eye-opening to me.
I didn't either. I didn't either. I was like, I'm thinking Iowa, I mean, or
Yeah,
Milwaukee. I'm like,
Iowa.
okay.
It's like
Yeah,
that's like the state that you try to get across really fast. It's like
right. But if you're an actor, you might not want to go so fast. You might want to
no,
slow
but I
down.
didn't know. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm just I've driven to Colorado many times, and Iowa's just like, you usually just get through Iowa as fast as you can so you can be in Nebraska and get to Colorado.
All right, tomorrow night. I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us today. This has
Absolutely.
been fun. We'll do this again.
We'll do it
Tomorrow
again.
night, I'll be back here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with our good friend Al Ducard, aka the Bat, and we'll be joined by screenwriter Michael Cassie, who wrote the movie Hangman, which
Mm.
stars Al Pacino, Carl Urban, Sarah Shahi, and Brittany Snow. We're going to be doing a watch party with that tomorrow night.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It will be a commentary show, which means we'll be talking about the movie, how Michael wrote it, stories from the shoot. Michael also is a film director. We'll probably talk a little bit about his other films that he's worked on, including this brand new film coming out soon called um, "No Tears in Hell." Ooh, it's gonna be brutal.
Oh,
It's definitely in the American trash of vein.
nice.
Yeah, very, very much so. And so that'll be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And Sunday night, the last thing I'll say before I let you guys all go, Sunday night at 8 o'clock, we'll be back here for IFC Midnight. Me, Mary Wilson, and Big Hoss. We'll be here to do a deep dive on the movie Hunter x Hunter. That's featured Camille Sullivan and Devon Sawa, and we'll be talking about that on the 20th. We all missed it before, but we're not missing it this time. Hunter x Hunter, one of the best endings in any movie ever. Uh, I loved it. All right,
Awesome.
that'll be it. Stay right where you're at just for a second, Leslie. And to everybody else, I'm going to say thank you so much. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. If you do come, you'll see me and the Bat and Michael. Thanks so much, and see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Peace. Okay. I knew I did that. Boy, it's glad it's a good thing I and